still having trouble figuring out what's wrong with the electrical situation. Gauge on the dash says 16 volts. The multimeter says 12 volts or like 11 and change, so something's still not right. Okay, what we got here is a tale of 3 alternators. This one, of course, is the regular Porsche 944 alternator from the later cars. I think it's like 115 amps. This is the alternator that I put in a couple years ago, and it came with a 944 pulley on it. This is from a Nissan Quest, and there's a guy on the internet who ships this with the 944 pulley already on it. So, but this alternator was in the Hurricane, so this was dunked and doesn't work. This one works, but is not great. It squeals. I think the pulley might be loose. I don't know. It's old. I got another Nissan Quest alternator used. I paid like 60 bucks for it, and it's already got the pulley on it from this one, because the pulley that comes with the Quest is a 5 and you need 6. Okay, so here's how you have to prep the housing. Here's the one that I did already on the alternator that was in the flood, and I took off too much, so I had to put a washer or two, I can't remember how many, 1 or 2 here, because I went too deep. So you don't have to go nearly this deep to get this to work. So here's how you line it up. You take your old alternator and you put it pulley side down. So you got your pulley here, pulley there, and there's where you want to be. So I made that mark there with the red. So it's not very much, and it is easy to accidentally do too much. So I'm gonna get out the grinder here. I would recommend using a thin wheel, just because I used a thicker wheel before and it's harder to control the thicker wheel. We'll see how this works. So I'll get out the grinder and start making a mess. Okay, so as you can see, I got this ground down pretty close to where it wants to be. So I got to do this other tab on the other end. As you can see from this one here I took off a little too much, and I dug a little too deep down in there. This one here is the second tab that you have to do. This one's more like the right distance. So I just got to take what I did over here and do it over there, wherever the other one is. Okay, so I did a fair amount of grinding on this guy, and as you can see, I got it lined up pretty good there with that one, and pretty good with that one. And so I ground a little bit off of these guys here and here. Didn't really have to. I just wanted to buy myself a little bit more clearance. Because some people grind the mount, and I didn't want to take the mount off and do all that today. So just putting the alternator back together, and I'll show you how the wiring goes on these. It's a little bit different. Okay, one more thing. This guy down here comes with this size bushing in this rear. This is the front, this is the rear, and so that hole is too small for your bolt. So what I did last time was I tried to drill this out, and the drill bit got caught and just spun the whole bushing out. This time what I did was I just tapped it out gently like that. Then I tapped out the Porsche one, and so you can see that the outer diameter is not the same. The inner diameter, of course, is good. This is not. So what I did was, and this is what I did last time, take some JB Weld stuff, mix it up, and put it in that hole. And you can see in this old one that I did, where there's the JB Weld is in here. I didn't get the hole quite as straight as I wanted to, but it doesn't matter really that much, just a tiny bit off center. So I'm going to be a little more careful with this one. So then I'm going to drill down through, and you got to drill this guy out too. This one here is too tight. So this is going to come down like this, but I'm going to use two hands to be careful this time. Okay, so this one here, this terminal, that goes to your blue, and I put a couple of connectors here so I can disconnect this for the next hurricane. So, but the key is this one goes straight to your battery. I've got a fuse thing that I'm going to put in between, so you don't want this unfused, but this goes straight to your battery, and it's just a small gauge wire, and what it does is it tells the voltage regulator what is going on exactly at the battery, so it can compensate for other electrical stuff that's on in the system. Okay, so I'm all hooked up. Got my hot for the battery and hot for the starter. They go there, at least for now. I just love looking at this carbon fiber. So that's the intake. So this is the part that comes from the scoop, and it goes in here. So when it hits this, it goes in a circle around the air filter, and then this is open on the end so that you don't get overpressure and run lean. So basically, when you're at speed, this is constantly cooling the air box, and then when you're at a stoplight and you go to punch it, air goes in this way also, so you're getting much more intake in the low RPMs, and then as the car gets moving, you get cool air, which helps keep the airbox cool. Okay, so now we got 13.6 volts. Right on the money.